Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Pop in those headphones, get comfortable, get your snacks ready. It's time for another episode of the Ringside Rundown Podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is the excellence of podcast execution, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be in wrestling podcasting, the Marty to my Sean, the animal to my hawk in this podcast Legion of Doom, the Stone Cold to my cerebral assassin in this two-person power trip of a podcast. She is the Palpatine of pro wrestling podcasting, coming straight from the Berg. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, how are you?
Can't complain. The Steelers are 2-0.
2-0 Steelers.
I cannot complain.
No complain, because that's what worked last week. And now, you got a superstition. I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious.
Just a little stitious.
Yeah.
And I am sorry for you. Not doing so hot right now, are you?
Yeah. I mean, I got my Yankees, man. I'm locked in Yankees. So the sting of Giants, if you want to even call it football, is not as bad as, and at least we're not the Carolina Panthers. That's true. They're in disarray right now. So
well, and I even it out too. You have the Yankees, I have the Pirates, I have the Steelers, you have the Giants. It all balances out.
Balance. I love it.
And then Penguins hockey starts soon, so you know what? I'm having a great time over here.
Do you have Penguin season tickets as well?
Kind of. We're in a group back home, so we always get 5 guaranteed, but we end up going to way more.
Oh, gotcha. Because I saw a video. I saw a video online of that players end up delivering the tickets in hand to season ticket holders.
Yeah, if you live in the Pittsburgh area and you are I think it's a full season if I remember correctly. I don't know the details of it, but yeah, it does happen, and I wish maybe one of these days, if I win the lottery, we'll get some full season tickets.
That would be pretty sick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, no, this is not a sports podcast. Well, I consider wrestling a sport. Some people don't, but this is a pro wrestling podcast where Shay and I talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, maybe WWE, AEW, both, a bunch of other things. And we're going back this week to our original format, which is great. I'm so excited, where the entire episode, we are just answering questions sent in by our loyal listeners, whether it be via Twitter. Now we have the Discord that's going crazy, sending us questions. So I'm super excited to get into everything we have going on. I mean, things are just going crazy in the land of the Ringside Rundown.
Popping off.
I'm telling you. Yeah, it's great. It's exciting. And I'm sacrificing my sleep for this. So if you're listening and you haven't subscribed to the podcast, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button right now.
Don't make Erik feel bad.
Yeah, I'm too tired to feel bad. It's just when you do something and you're worried about your parent being angry at you, and they're just like, no, I'm just disappointed. And it's just
no.
yeah, it's like that. If you don't subscribe, I'm not gonna be angry at you, but my face will be just the most dejected face you've ever seen, and you just don't want to disappoint me. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
One singular tear is falling down his face as we speak.
I'm so tired that's all I can muster up, and I'm tired.
One tear.
Yeah, I'm tired because I'm fully throwing myself into doing all of this content stuff, and it's stuff. So again, I will just muster one single tear of disappointment, looking directly at you. I will find you and look directly at you and just cry one single tear. So hit that subscribe button if you don't want that to happen.
We don't want it to disappoint Erik ever. Yeah.
Subscribe, follow, like, whatever. Do all what the influencers say.
Oh God. Minus the cringe.
Right. Well, like I was saying, this is a pro wrestling podcast where we answer questions. So Shay, you got the questions in front of you. Why don't we get right into it?
Let us get into it. We're going to start with Jack's questions, which, small little side note before we get into it, him and I are going to be mortal enemies in about, I don't know, exactly, actually, 3 weeks.
Uh-oh, we got beef.
Because the Penguins have their home opener on the 9th of October. Of course, I will be there, and it just so happens to be against Jack's New York Rangers.
Rangers, baby.
So we're gonna hate each other for a night.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to side with Jack. You know it.
Yeah, of course. It's fine. Whatever. One or two of us will be happy after that night. We'll see what happens. And then subsequently, a couple times after that, we'll hate each other. But for now, we'll still be friends. But his first question or comment really is he's not really feeling the whole Jey and Rhea story. It
Mhm.
just seems like nothing but a holding pattern before each one does something more important.
Mm.
Maybe they're putting Jey in more Rhea segments just to annoy Rikishi at this point. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not
Rikishi.
bad. I think just the problem is you go from the chemistry that Rhea and Dom had to Jey and Rhea, and it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's
It's not terrible though.
no, no, I'm not hating it. What
No,
I feel like is they're not going 100% with it. You know,
no,
it's kind of tiptoeing, like he likes her.
they're holding back.
She's kind of feeling him, and I think people just want to know it is are we gonna pretend, because again, this is suspension of disbelief.
Yeah,
But are we gonna pretend that they're gonna be a thing or not? Not we can't have the tiptoeing around and then her still being angry at Dom, because then it's like, well, you're kind of moving on already. So
yeah,
why are you still mad at me for all of
yeah.
this? You know, but I will say I think they're doing a good job of balancing that and incorporating it into the Jey Uso Braun Breaker story,
Yes.
where Braun Breaker's whole point of view is, hey man, you're taking your eye off the ball when you're supposed to be focused on this. You're over here focusing on yeeting and trying to go to Waffle House with Rhea Ripley,
Uh-huh.
So, and you're over here putting more stock into uh helping Damien and Rhea, and you're losing focus what you
Yeah.
should be focused on. And that's the one thing that's relatable about this story, is that it teaches you, like, where you should be focusing. Are you helping other people, and at the sacrifice of helping other people, you lose focus on things that you have to worry about yourself?
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
and like, to his point, they're putting Jey in these Rhea segments. I mean, Rhea is one of the hottest, if not the hottest thing
Hmm.
in all of wrestling right now. So anytime, I mean, Rhea's presence has still helped Damien look like a star even after losing the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
And so she can only do positive things for Jey Uso's image, much to the chagrin of Rikishi. Who who
Yeah.
who you would think, who literally was born into this business, would understand, hey, this is a story and people are digging this
Yeah.
story.
I don't know.
But again, like, it has its positives, where Jey is getting that residual Rhea effect, but
Hmm.
there is some points that are valid from the criticisms of it, whereas I see it as they're not going 100% with it. If we're gonna interlock Rhea with Jey, go 100%. They like each other, they're into each other.
Hmm.
He's the new Dom for Rhea.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like, well, why are you still mad at Dom? You just moved on. And then, but you can make other points like, oh, it ruined the Judgment Day, blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
But again, there needs to be that, there can't be that hesitation to go full with it.
Yeah, there needs to be a make or break point at some
Right.
point. Could be a bad blood, maybe.
Mm.
Who knows? Um, but it's funny that you mentioned the like overarching like I don't know what you want to call it, just overarching like storylines that are kind of interwoven into all of this
Right.
because Jack's next comment is a bit of a hot button topic
Uh
here
oh.
where it's I honestly forgot Liv Morgan was the champ, which you know what I find kind of funny about this? The Liv fans or stands are awfully quiet because isn't this kind of like what they were bitching about with Rhea when she was champion? Where it's like, well, she has the title, but she's too focused on the Judgment Day and she's not defending it enough.
Hey,
She's defended it a hell of a lot more than Liv has. That's for damn sure. Like,
yeah. I mean, um,
but let's
the
just put it: we do like Liv.
yeah,
Before
right,
we even
right,
get into this, we're not trashing her. We're
right.
just
We're not
kind of stating the obvious.
we're not Rhea over Liv by any stretch of the
Well,
imagination. Well,
I
I mean,
mean.
if we had to choose, we would probably choose Rhea over Liv. But we're
Yes.
for the sake of this argument, we're not saying one is better than the other. We
We're
enjoy
not saying
both.
Liv sucks.
Right. Good way to put
Yeah.
it.
It's
Um.
just
Yeah.
it's just like I get that she's an integral part into the storyline, but I think the
Mm,
problem is that it's almost like we were choosing the storyline over her reign because let's be completely honest here. This whole Judgment Day, Rhea, Damian storyline has overshadowed 3 titles if we're thinking about it
yeah.
because when Joe Tessitore even had to shade Finn and McDonough for being like, "Oh, this is the first time since I don't know, June since they've won the titles that they're defending them." That's not good. Like,
Right.
that's not good. It's just they haven't found that balance of, hey, this is a very big important storyline without the titles, but they do also have the titles, so you kind of need remember that that's a thing.
Right.
So if Rhea were to beat Liv for that title at Bad Blood, I don't think a lot of people are going to be upset. I mean, some people are going to be upset, but oh well. But it's just like at least hopefully they could do something more with the title instead of having it be held hostage by a storyline
Right. Right.
by a storyline, really. Like that's all this is.
Right.
But which is a shame because Liv's not a bad wrestler. We've said it 5,000 times before on this show. She's great in the ring. She can be a champion. It's just kind of like
It feels like
bad circumstances.
right. It feels like her character is overshadowing her wrestling ability.
Yes.
Like, because the whole point is to accentuate the positives, hide the negatives, right? Not saying
Yeah.
that her wrestling is a negative, but I'm saying her positive, her super positive is her character work. She's
Yes.
so good at what she does that it's integral. It's important to have her on the show in that aspect. And again, talking about sacrifices, like her wrestling time and her ability to defend her title is kind of getting sacrificed for that. It's not because one is better than the other. It's just that they're both good, but one is so good that like we need that on the show because it makes the show better. So
Yeah.
from that point of view, it's almost like a business sort of strategy that we
Mhm.
as fans are not accustomed to,
Yeah.
because we're not privy to that information. The only thing we could look at is like if we want to be super nerds and look at, oh well, this is what the ratings look like during this segment or whatever. um and I get it. It makes the title look weak. It doesn't help Rhea from a wrestling aspect. But then again, on the flip side, the main event of Raw and everything that was happening was so hot when Liv broke up the match and then Rhea just launches herself toward
Through that
Liv.
table.
Yeah, and they go through the table and Wade Barrett takes a bump and like it was just complete madness to like at the end of the show. Like I had people in the Twitch that were just like, nah, they can't end the show like this. Like
Yes, they can.
there has to be more. People were literally in the chat like they can't end the show like this. And
Mhm.
what's the one thing we've said countless times? You script the show so that way you do something that gives the people a reason to want to watch the next week. You
Leave them
know,
wanting more.
they want it more and you're like it's like it's playing that little trick on them. So again, I get both sentiments, but I also understand why things the way they are. It's just
Yeah.
it's we as fans want something, but sometimes the things that we want don't correlate with the business strategies that go along with a business that makes billions of dollars every year, you know?
Ye Yeah, I think it also doesn't help the case for again, you hate saying it, but it's like the Liv stands where if Rhea does beat Liv for this title at Bad Blood, they're just going to be like, see, they never had a plan for Liv anyway with
Right,
that title. It was just she was just a placeholder for Rhea. And it's like,
right,
well, the worst part is if you kind of break it down, technically, yeah, Liv was going to always be the placeholder because Rhea never should have lost that title in the first place. She didn't have a choice.
right,
She had to give it up. So, for all we know, she could have still been the champion by now if she hadn't gotten hurt.
right.
So it kind of sucks, but the truth's the truth, where it's like, yeah, kind of she is a de facto placeholder for her, but that's just, again, it just came down to the circumstance. Sometimes you just can't help it, and that's just the story, the way the story naturally and organically progressed, where, yeah, it makes sense for her to have the title. But it would have been nice to see her defend it more. However, I feel like it's kind of sad the storyline took precedence over the title,
Right.
which isn't kind of the point of a title, but when you have such an invested story, then you kind of just have to take the losses at that point.
Right. The thing is, like, with the stand mentality, it's constant moving the goalpost
Yes,
when it comes to whoever your enemy is.
do no wrong.
Right. It's like, if one thing does one something, they get criticized for it. The other side does it. When they get criticized from the one side, they're like, but this, and it's constantly
Yeah, but
but.
wait,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's a
yeah,
constant but, so it's constant moving in the goalpost. So that's why I'm learning to kind of filter out what opinion is important and what is an educated opinion and what is just a bunch of yapping. That's
yeah, because there's a lot of it on Twitter right
there.
now. I can tell you that.
Twitter in a wrestling sense, in the wrestling community, it's 95% yapping,
Yes.
5% actual useful discussion. You
Yeah.
know,
We're doing our
we're
best. We're
doing our
really just doing our
we're
best.
trying our best to contribute positively to the discourse.
Exactly. We don't want to contribute to the stan culture.
No, not at all, not at all. We're a stand for wrestling in is it entirety.
Yeah, we can be fans of wrestlers, but we can also admit when things are not going great or
Right.
just we don't agree with something.
Right. And that's the thing that's what I think, and not to like pat ourselves on the back here, but I think that's our strongest attribute, is that, let's say someone from a high ranking wrestling promotion stumbled upon our content and they actually
Yeah.
took a listen. They would understand that our perspectives, we know we're not working for these companies. We know we're not in the boardroom meetings, in the creative meetings, or anything like that. So everything we say is just from our perspective as fans. You and I have never been the type of podcasters to step out of our lane and go, oh, we know more than this, and we
Yeah.
don't know anything except for what we see on TV. So anything we say on this podcast is purely from our perception and perspective as a fan. So that's why I say I understand the perception that, the title reign is weak. She's not wrestling enough. She's not having enough matches on TV. I get that and I agree with that. But I also see the other side, that it's a business decision, most likely, because the segments that they're in are so hot, especially when
Yeah.
Rhea and Liv go at it and they're brawling, whether they're brawling over tables, brawling in the ring, they're chasing each other around the arena. Those segments are consistently hot segments. So
Yeah.
again, WWE is like, we know she's a good wrestler, but she's great at being Liv Morgan. She's really good at being Liv Morgan, to the point that, like, having her not on the show in that capacity could be a detriment, you know?
Yeah.
So again, much like with everything, if you have an opinion about something, always try to look at the opposite side and say, well, that kind of makes sense why things are operating that way.
Yeah, because if not, you're just going to be in a constant state of negativity, and
Exactly.
we don't need that. No
Right.
one needs that. So for some positivity, actually, so you're finding a lot of segues already. Jack is really enjoying Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed.
Ooh.
Feels like it's a Godzilla fight every time. This has been the most Jack's been into Strowman since the "I'm not finished with you" character. Yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes you just got to put two giants next to each other and just say, "All
Right.
right, tear each other apart."
Right. This is when Big E said he enjoys watching big meaty men slapping meat.
Uh-huh.
This is what he meant. This is
Oh
what he
yeah.
meant. Like,
Oh yeah.
you can give me a full 3-hour episode of Raw of just Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed going throughout the arena just breaking shit. They
Yeah.
even they even did the campy breaking of the wall that we criticized Jericho for on Dynamite.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
they didn't do it in a way like, look at this is going to be the most devastating thing ever. They just let it happen and they ran with the theatrics of it all, because it was a theatrical performance. You're going to tell me that wall breaks and then a whole shitload of mess just comes cascading down 10 seconds later out of nowhere? The rope breaking, going through the tables and getting back, like flipping the golf cart. Like they launched a human being.
Yeah, they
Like,
killed somebody.
yeah, even if okay, even if like, well, that was a plant. Okay, no shit,
Who cares?
dipshit. Thank you. You must be a blast at parties. Thank you for
Literally.
stating the obvious that was probably a plant. But the whole idea is to buy into the show. So literally, like he took a human being and he launched him into another big human being. Like this is
Yeah.
perfect. And again, I bring this up because this is what I do now during the shows is I'm hanging out with people, and the great thing about what we're doing is we're getting a lot of people that are just casual watchers that are now consistently watching WWE and AEW. When all of that was happening, people were freaking out. They
Yeah.
were just like, this is the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Because the whole time we were just like, what the hell is going up? First, like we were trying to figure out if the rope breaking thing, which happened literally 3 seconds into the match,
Yeah.
was real or not. So I'm explaining like differences between what they call a work and a shoot for all of our friends
Yeah.
that watch that don't know like the smart mark terms of wrestling. So I'm explaining that, and as I'm explaining that, next thing you know, shit just goes chaos, and we're all just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing. This is the stuff people like they like that chaos. It gives you a feeling of the Attitude Era where you're just like, was that supposed to happen? Did they really do
Yeah.
that? Was crazy. This is chaos. This is madness. This is two big giant dudes, like Jack said, like two Godzilla kaiju type monsters
Yeah.
just colliding into each other and just causing mass devastation. I mean, they keep doing this because we literally just saw one person squash the other on the hood of a car.
Yeah. Oof, that was just fucking insane.
Like like what more can they do? And I even asked that while watching the show to the chat. I was like, what more can they
Yeah.
do? And I believe somebody said, well, gotta do a false count anywhere. You,
No,
you
maybe a bad blood.
yeah, you got to do a false
Oh,
count anywhere. Just go at it. Or
just pain.
you want a nostalgia for nostalgia's sake? Maybe like a boiler room brawl,
Oh,
you
yeah, that'd
know?
be a good one.
Bring back the boiler room brawl between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. I'm locked in.
Ooh, I will sit down and that will get my full attention.
I'm locked in.
Whew. See, this is just the fun part of wrestling.
Yeah,
Just
exactly. It's
something
fun.
just gets you so excited that you just fantasy book it to hell, and hey, it may come true, you never know. Like I said, bad blood. They could use another match.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully that happens. Hopefully we talked it into existence.
I hope so.
Thoughts on Joe Tessitore so far? I think he's been pretty good.
I love him. I love him. I
It's a
love
fresh take.
right. I loved him from the first day, but I understood the criticisms that he was a little bit too monotone, and he was
Yeah.
and but that was the first day. And it brought me to, I remember there was an episode of Raw where Michael Cole got F5'd out of his shoes by Brock Lesnar, and
Yes.
so he couldn't do commentary because that was the opening segment of the show, or it was like middle or opening segment. But I remember for the rest of the show, Byron Saxton was doing commentary, and the entire episode of Raw, I'm screaming at my TV, Byron, speak up, show some excitement, something.
Use emotion.
Give me something. Like, it was just a glaring obvious that like he was nervous. He was, but he eventually became as good as he was. And the same thing was like for Joe Tessitore, but Joe Tessitore was good right off the rip. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
guy that calls college football games, and people are like, he's so good. He's good at calling comedy putt-putt with Rob
Yeah.
Riggle.
Yeah.
Like that's how good he is. And you see week by week, he is getting better.
The cadence of it all.
Right.
Like he gets it.
Yeah, he gets, and for me, like I said in the beginning, many don't, but I do. I consider professional wrestling to be a sport. He calls it like a sport, you know,
Yes.
and then you also got to give credit to him and Wade Barrett. They just have that
Yes.
chemistry where it's just working. It's like you don't lose the looseness and the fun banter that we had between Cole and McAfee,
Yeah.
but now it's in a more confined sports sense. They just kind of banter back and forth, and like Joe, I love when Joe doesn't get why Barrett loves Dirty Dom so much, and he's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's just like, you're out here glazing Dirty Dom, and Barrett's like, like he just like,
Lazy.
yeah, he was so taken aback by, like, they just had that banter where it's not over the top like McAfee and Cole, but
It's that, like, sneaky zingers where it's
yeah,
just like, "God damn, you really, like,
yeah, it's
wasn't expecting that."
right. It's just the looseness of it all. It doesn't seem robotic, and it seems like
Yeah.
they're calling an action-packed sports show. So I
Yeah, and it makes you more invested. If the announcers are invested, you're gonna be invested
exactly.
too, like, it's infectious.
Right, exactly. That's what made JR so good, and it's because, like, I was reading a book, one of JR's books, and he said, it was a great tip. You call the action as if somebody wanted to know what's going on, but they're blind.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
see it. So the only way they can get a picture of it is if you describe it to them. So you have to be excited and animated so that if, by God, somebody out there can't see it, but they wish to just know what it's like, you paint that picture for them, and that picture will never go away.
Yeah.
So again, props to Joe Tessitore, amazing hire by WWE, who just on fire with their decisions, and equally as good as Wade Barrett, who's a perfect number 2 to him.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting to see how if he takes up a notch with Netflix, which I think he will.
Oh, I think so too. Oh my God, I can't wait for the Netflix. I just want to see if there's going to be, I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to
Yeah.
get my hopes up because,
Don't overhype it.
right, I don't want to overhype it because it could just be, not that I'm mad if it's more of the same, because the same right now, what's going on right now is, it's great. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. I love it.
Can't complain.
Yeah, I look forward to watching the show every week now to see what's going to happen. So if it doesn't change, it's not a huge detriment, but if they do go to Netflix and they do something different that you can visibly and audibly tell, like, oh, this is a different vibe, I would love to see that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's already good and it can just be improved.
Right,
That's
right.
it. Exactly. So let us move on here. What are our thoughts on the New Day story direction? I think it's interesting.
Very.
It's very interesting because I feel like the New Day is great.
Mhm.
Again, one of the greatest factions of all time, one of the greatest teams of all time.
Right.
After a while, though, you got to give them an extra layer, like a new layer to their characters, because it
Yeah.
kind of just becomes more of the same. And props to Triple H for pivoting, especially since Odyssey Jones isn't a thing anymore.
Right.
So it was that slow, and I mean slow burn of just how long is Karrion Cross gonna his like influence gonna eventually corrupt Woods, and we're starting to see it now,
Right.
and it's just a matter of when's that dam gonna break, because
Right.
it's leaking, there's some cracks there,
Oh
it's
yeah.
gonna go full on just flood soon,
Oh yeah. The
and I cannot wait to see it happen.
For sure, two things that are very interesting, and one of them you just brought up that came to my mind. Everything that Karrion Cross touches, whether it's successful for him and makes him
Mhm.
better, more important to the show or not, everything he's done has become like a cancer. You
Yes,
know,
corrupts everything.
yeah, it's that's just so interesting. Where like Karrion Cross is like, he's had a tough time with fans in terms of getting fans to get into it. I'm into it.
Yeah,
I've always been into it, but
same.
I could understand their points as well. But you got to admit, having something like, well, everything, no matter what, whether you enjoy it or not, has a longer substantial meaning in the long run, where it becomes a cancer that just
Yeah.
slowly dies away, is a very compelling aspect to the story. Here's another compelling aspect to the story. Xavier Woods is not the bad guy here.
No,
He's not
he's
the
really
bad
not.
he's not the bad guy here.
Mm-mm.
Kofi has continuously and consistently done things that are unbecoming of a tag team partner.
Nope.
Okay? You bring in Odyssey Jones and you don't tell Xavier you're bringing in Odyssey Jones, and Odyssey Jones instantly gives you the illusion like, oh, this is just a replacement to Big E.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe if he would have told Xavier beforehand, the situation with bringing Odyssey Jones, he could have been more receptive to it, could have gave
Yeah.
him his ideas to make it so that the illusion that they're just replacing Big E wasn't so prevalent. He didn't
Yeah.
do that. He just went ahead and figured, oh, well, I'm just assuming I know what Xavier wants or what he will say
Yeah.
yes to, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. That same thing happened this past Monday on Raw, where Xavier goes to Damian and to Jey Uso and say, hey, I know you guys got your issues with the Judgment Day. We have a match with the Judgment Day. Please, could you not interfere so that way we can make it a fair shot? If it's a fair shot, we can win the tag team titles. And they agreed to it. What's
Yeah.
Kofi do? He goes ahead and gets the LWO, and then Xavier gets pissed off. They
Yeah.
lose. And then he goes to tell Xavier, well, I told him to do that. That was all part of the plan. Hello, a plan. For a plan to be a plan, you have to tell somebody else. If you
Yeah.
if you only keep it to yourself, it's just an idea. You know,
Yeah.
you know,
It's that naive ignorance
right?
that just it's just like it's very hard for anybody to look at this whole situation and be like, no, Kofi's the victim in all of this. He's just trying to do what's best for the team. It's
Right.
like, no, he's acting pretty selfish and it's gonna backfire on him royally
Right.
and soon.
Right. It's just like you said, it's Kofi somehow when this thing happens, he's gonna try to play off the victim, and it's like, no. The problem is, I always tell people, don't assume, because when you assume,
Yep.
you make an ass out of you and me.
That's
So,
one of mom's favorite phrases.
right, and
So
that's the
yeah.
thing, and that's precisely what happened on Monday Night Raw. Kofi Kingston literally made an ass out of himself and
Yeah.
Xavier Woods, and not in a comedic New Day hip gyrating pancake throwing way. They literally made an ass out of themselves
Yeah.
because they had this big brawl outside of the ring with the Judgment Day and LWO. The referee couldn't get a handle on things. Xavier literally had the match won. Had the
Mhm.
match won. And all because Kofi Kingston didn't have the wherewithal to include somebody else into his other idea so it could become a plan and they could have fleshed it out and made sure it worked properly. They lose their opportunity at the Raw Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, and it's gonna be very interesting to see if they include Biggie in this at all, which they're gonna have
They're
to.
gonna
You'd
have
be
to.
stupid not to.
I've been wondering, where is Big E? What's Big E
On the
thinking?
pre-shows.
He's on the pre-show, but
That's it.
what does he think of this whole situation? How could you not get Big E's perspective? I'm pretty sure, like you said, they are going to do that, but
Yeah.
it's just like, how come we haven't seen it yet?
I'm wondering if he's gonna try and play like Switzerland, where Xavier's gonna, I would assume, rightfully be like, "This is bullshit. I'm not in the wrong here." And I'm wondering if Big E's gonna be like, "I mean, yeah, Kofi has been doing some dumb shit, but you shouldn't act like this." It like gaslighting him in a way where it's just like, "I mean, yeah, he's not been making some good decisions, but I mean, you couldn't have acted this way." And it's just like, I feel like it's gonna get way more sympathy for Xavier than anybody.
Mm,
Like he's gonna come out the star in this easily. And
mm.
he can be. We've seen him in singles runs in NXT and stuff before, so it's like he's capable of doing it. It's just going to be interesting to see which way they take that story because it can be a very compelling story if they do it correctly.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time, but it's gonna be heartbreaking at the same time because
Yeah.
New Day has been a constant for over a decade. So
Yeah. It's going to be weird. Hopefully, I mean, I think it's going to be a good weird, but still very just like, ooh, this is like not supposed to happen. But
exactly.
sometimes you just got to change some things.
Right.
Speaking of changing some things, will the Pure Fusion Collective ever win anything? I don't really know at this point. I feel like I'm just gonna keep going with the philosophy that we kind of talked about earlier with the whole Judgment Day of just like, I don't want to be too negative about it
Right.
because we all know I love Shayna. I'm just gonna go and just say, you know what? I'm just happy she's getting time on TV
Hey, there are always gonna be some positives.
because hopefully, inevitably, I keep telling myself it might amount to something,
Hey.
like, something. Would I prefer it not to be in other tag titles? Yes, but I'm just happy she's on TV, she's not sitting back and catering, she has something to do. So you know what? I still get to see Shayna on TV, which is, you know what, good enough for me.
Right. I like the idea of putting these ladies together. Like
It works.
I believe in the aesthetic. I believe in
It, mm-hmm.
I believe in the chemistry that
Uh-huh.
that they can have with each other. I think Sonya Deville is she's not great, but she's pretty good, you know?
Yeah, she's decent.
Right. And so she can be the care because like Shayna has charisma, but
Yeah,
her
got to give her a chance.
right, but the thing is her charisma only kind of comes out when she doesn't have to be that killer assassin, you know?
Yeah, and it's so tough for me because the reason a lot of people were attracted and drawn to Shayna in the first place was that killer
Right.
instinct in NXT. It's just like I think everyone, I mean, not gonna lie, myself included, would see how she was in NXT, and it's just like if we could just get a little bit of that on the main roster, then people would finally see why we're all just like, no, guys, she's actually really good. You just have to like believe us. You have to like just wait and see because I was on I'm trying to remember, I think it was Wrestle Buddy, I think on Twitter. He put people are sleeping on Shayna's NXT title reign.
Right.
Like he he posed the question and had tried to make the argument that I've been making for years is that Shayna was the greatest NXT women's champion of all time. And I'll stand by it because again, it's yes, is it a little biased? Is it coming from me? Yeah, probably. However, the point is that yeah, Asuka had like the most dominant. That's there's a difference. Asuka had the most dominant run.
Okay.
However, Shayna's, I think, her defenses were more dramatic, more realistic, where it's like there were some times where people were like, is this gonna actually like be the night? Is this gonna be it? And all of her defenses were solid. They were never like clunker matches. And so the fact that I think they did it that way was when Rhea did beat her, it
Mhm.
was a big ass deal.
Right.
When it came to Asuka, though, after a while, you're kind of just sitting there. And once she beat Ember Moon, it was almost just like, who the hell's going to beat her at this point?
Mhm.
Like, it didn't even seem believable that anyone was going to beat her. That it got to the point that the only way they could get that belt off of her was the fact that she had to relinquish it.
Right, right.
So I think Shayna had the more realistic and more dramatic, and I think overall better title reign, but Asuka had the more dominant reign. I just want to see a little bit of that on the main roster, but I'm also glad that they're showing the fact that she has a personality
Right.
because she can be funny. Like she is funny if given the chance. It's just that balance of yeah, I can be funny, I can be a killer, but I could also knock your teeth in if I wanted to.
Right, right. Like I said, she's very entertaining. She's very interesting. She has more hobbies than beating the shit out of people.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yes.
funny because like I was a friend of mine. We were talking about video games, and he was telling me about this like Warhammer game, and I'm like,
Oh, yes.
well, you're because he's kind of a new like casual wrestling fan. He's getting into it because of what I do, and so
Yep.
I told him, well, Shayna Baszler, and he's like, yeah. I was like, she streams, the Warhammer games. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, she's on right now, and he's like watching. He's like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, so there's,
Yeah.
but the thing is, like, what they're doing now with the Pure Fusion Collective, again, the idea of putting them together works. The aesthetic of it works. There's chemistry between all three of them. I thought the last time that they were on TV was a pretty good showing.
Hmm.
It's just the idea of what the fuck is a Pure Fusion Collective?
Yeah, the name's just still getting me. Like,
But it's not even the name at this point. It's
what does it mean?
like what's the idea behind it?
I don't think they ever like said anything about it. Like they never like explained why this is the name we chose.
Right.
And this literally goes against like what or goes with like what we were talking about earlier with the stan culture. Any like I guess Shayna or Zoe or Liv, I guess Stan could try and be like, well, no, this makes sense because this is like grasping at straws.
Mhm.
Everyone knows I love Shayna to death. The name I just don't fucking get. Like
Yeah.
when I saw it, I'm just like, why? Like
Uh-huh.
what the fuck is this name? Like I don't get it,
I
but
don't. I keep saying it sounds like a Dragon Ball villain.
just give us an explanation, please.
Like,
And nothing.
is it a clinic? Are we making superheroes at the Pure Fusion Collective, or is
It
it
does
like
sound like a Dragon Ball Z thing.
yeah,
Like it sounds like a center at the in like one of the cities. Like
it's like
it's
if
wild.
you could just give us an idea of what it could
Yeah.
be. Like, we know the idea of the New Day, we know the idea of the Final Testament, the
I was
Judgment
just gonna
Day.
say that.
Like,
Oh, I was just gonna say the name.
right, we
Yeah.
know the ideas behind them, you know. But like, and like the bloodline, we know the we can go even to NXT, Chase University, the
Mhm.
Tony D'Angelo and the D'Angelo family, the No Quarter Catch crew. Those are
American Made.
right, American made. Wyatt Six,
Yeah.
every group, and that's probably why it's so glaring. It's because every
Yeah.
group and a faction within WWE, you get what the idea behind that faction is. You don't have any idea what a pure fusion collective is. The only thing I could surmise it to is maybe like because they're so MMA centric with Sonya and Shayna having extensive MMA backgrounds, maybe they
Mhm.
were trying to go for a feeling like American Top Team. Remember Dan Lambert,
Okay. Oh,
AEW?
God.
They were trying to go for something of
I
that
cannot.
sort of feel to it. American Top Team, MMA, you know, whatever. So like Pure Fusion Collective, like, you know, like, but it there needs to be an idea behind what it is. and
Yeah.
and the
Yeah. Yeah.
and the shoot your shot just serves as jokes for Mia Yim to get off on Twitter.
Oh, Mia, like, her tweets get me every time, like, it's just
She
it
knows what she's doing,
oh, she
and the
knows, like,
thing
come
is,
on.
like, she knows nobody can call it out. Like,
Nope.
you got to be
Nope.
brave. Trust me, we've already been in this situation, you and I, you know. So it's like everybody just has to see it.
Uh,
We have to see it and internally just double
laugh.
over laughing hysterically, but we can't do anything else about it. Mia Meechin, I am on to you.
We know what you're doing.
We know what you're doing, Meechin.
It's just I can laugh about it because
Yeah,
I absolutely get the joke,
right.
but
I get the joke, but I think I get the you know what? At this point, I'm not even going to say anything else. Next question.
any,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought. Anyways, so let's moving on here. So we're gonna go over to AEW a little bit, and I was hoping someone was gonna bring this up because I've been confused about this ever since they had this little segment. So the whole John Moxley Darby Allin title shot thing,
Mhm.
uh, much like what Jack's saying, I think it is very clunky, especially with the whole Danielson Nigel McGuinness thing happening at Grand Slam instead. So why give up the title shot? Jack's excited to see where the faction with Moxley goes, but this was just a bit clunky. I called this out as soon as this whole segment happened because as soon as they did the whole, all right, nope, I'm taking your title shot just because I said so, and Darby's like, yeah, no, screw you, you are,
Yeah.
only to later in the night go, oh yeah, no, I'm back and I want Danielson in the match because he's just afraid of me, and I'm like, you guys just threw this together at the last minute. It is very obvious that you did because it makes no fucking sense. So Darby's gonna potentially lose his title shot because Moxley wants it, and he's supposed to give up the shot that he has against Danielson because Nigel McGuinness wants him if he's cleared. Like, guys, what the fuck are we doing with this? This is so dumb.
This
Like, I don't like it.
this is what happens when you don't plan shit out and you just start
No,
doing whatever sticks to a wall.
no, he literally, like, Tony Khan literally just saw that, oh, Nigel McGuinness is cleared. No, we got to have him and Danielson immediately. We got to have him immediately. You couldn't have done this on the 5th year anniversary of Dynamite. You couldn't have done this at Wrestle Dream. You couldn't have waited and built it up. Like, if this is a dream match, like many people are saying, which it
It
is,
is.
like these two hated each other in Ring of Honor, you're going to give it 2 weeks build, and it's not even a build because one of them is currently just not cleared, quote unquote cleared. What are we fucking doing? You're doing this storyline a disservice. It's so dumb. Like,
This is what happens when you say you book wrestling for the sickos. Sometimes booking wrestling for the sickos is like not the smartest, most logical thing to do. I
it's like weird though because the match itself makes sense. It's just how they're going about it is the dumbest way they could
right.
be going about it. Like, if you want to make it a big deal, wait for, I don't know, like I said, Wrestle Dream, wait for Full Gear. People wait months for this match,
Yeah,
not weeks.
right.
Like,
And the
come on.
and the thing is, like, it'll be a positive because it'll put legs underneath Danielson's reign. Of course, you want to see Danielson and Darby. You want to see
Yeah.
Moxley and Danielson after freaking Moxley tried to execute him with the plastic
Yes.
bag. Of course, you want to see that. The problem is, again, the smart thing to do would be like, okay, we're going to give Danielson the belt. Let's map out 6 months of things we're going to
Yeah.
do with Danielson as he is champion. And the only way we pivot to things is if along the lines someone in our plans gets hurt, and then we pivot. But
Yeah.
to plan something and then go, okay, we got to pivot because we got to use Nigel McGuinness as soon as possible because why? Why?
Jump the gun.
Right,
He jumped the gun.
right. Not only did he jump the gun, but if your thing is, well, we have to give him McGuinness right now just so we could placate the hardcore wrestling fan, and we have to do it right now just because we have to do it right now. Listen, there's nobody like I'm take the biggest fan that definitely wants to see Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson. I'm up there with him.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see it. So of course I'm going to be locked into this match. Of course I want to see this match. And if when it happens, it happens. I'm going to be excited. I'm just strictly speaking as a fan who is just answering the question, does this make sense? Is this the right move? And when you break it down, it's just like, well, we don't know if it's the right move. To us, it doesn't make sense, but it also puts a spotlight on the fact that it feels as though, because again, we're not there, we don't work there, but it feels as though it's just like, we'll do this, and then next week we'll figure out to do this, and then next week we'll figure out to do this, and it's just like you go week by week. I'm hoping that they actually plan this stuff out, and if they do, that just means that their planning is just fucked up. Like they don't want to stick to whatever they got. They pivot too much to placate, and the placating is in hopes that it will boost the ratings. And yes, it will boost the ratings for that week. But as we see, it's never ever sustainable. It's like they get that boost that 1 week and it drops off for the next 3 weeks. They get the
Here's my thing though. Is he placating to the hardcore fans, or is he placating to himself?
he's both because he sees himself as one of them, which is completely fine. Um, but he sees himself again as that AOL message board fan that he was, that wants to be the next Paul Heyman, the next Eric Bischoff. The problem is Paul Heyman had the genius of innovation. The problem is that Eric Bischoff had the genius, the absolute freaking mental level genius of how to make wrestling work in an entertainment financial business. I mean, it wasn't sustainable, but again,
Yeah.
there's your lesson on making sure things are sustainable so you'll never go out of business. Doing these things to go, okay, we need to pop a rating here, so we got to do this, okay,
Yeah.
but how do you build off of that to keep the ratings up? You pop rating 1 week and it goes down for the next 3-4 weeks. That's not good.
It's not
It's
sustainable.
not sustainable in the fans' eyes. The and I know we have a question about this later, but all of this in correlation to their new TV rights deal, it's all great that they're getting a new deal because that keeps them in existence. And as a wrestling fan, I want to see them continue, and I want to see them thrive, and I want to see people get paid for doing their jobs. I don't want people to lose their jobs, so I
No.
want them to be successful. The correlation of it all is, just because they're getting the deal doesn't mean that the product is the best that it can be. It can
Yeah.
be better, but the thing is, the TV deal is predicated on a lot of it being that that Warner Brothers Discovery is like, well, we understand that the median of television and the landscape of television and ratings has changed
Yeah.
because of streaming. We get that because that is our business.
Yeah, they know what they're
Right,
doing.
so they understand that, like, ratings are never gonna get back to, like, the 7s and the 8s of the Attitude Era. That's never gonna happen. They're always gonna be in the 1s and 2s. But we as wrestling fans look at those metrics and we're like, "Damn, nobody's paying attention to the shows," and sometimes the shows are pretty good. Like,
Yeah. Just they're not consistent
right,
though.
right. Collision this past week was a great show. So many
Yeah.
stories, and we're gonna talk about them later with like Yuka Sakazaki and Mariah May
Yes.
and Top Flight. There's a little bit of issues going on in Top Flight, and there's this and there's that. So like there's a couple stories that came off of just this past Saturday alone from Collision. Problem is nobody's watching because
Mm-mm.
it's going to be good one week and then mediocre for the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's infuriating
Yeah,
because you can see they have glimmers of hope and they have glimpses of, oh, thank God you're finally figuring out. And then you take 5 steps back and it's
right.
just like, what are you, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we're going to have to keep this to a minimum here.
All right.
Will Sammy Guevara ever escape the Jericho Association? Jack feels like he's damaged goods.
They're
I honestly, he couldn't have said it better because anytime Sammy's on the TV, I'm just like, I don't
yeah,
care. I genuinely do not care. This kid's had too many chances, and it still just rubs me the wrong way that you bring him back after once again doing dumb shit
mhm.
and you immediately reward him with a title.
Yeah, that's not the best look. That's
No, it was stupid for they wanted the Arlington pop. They wanted the
right,
Texas like reaction, but it's
right,
like at the cost of you making business sense? Like,
right.
come on.
Yeah. In terms of the question, this is gonna sound bad, kind of is, but it's like you're not gonna escape the funk of Jericho unless you leave
Mm-mm.
AEW and go to WWE.
Yeah.
That's it. That's just the way it is.
And WWE's not touching him. There's no
They're
way.
not touching Sammy Guevara, but they're
No.
gonna touch Daniel Garcia. They're gonna touch
Maybe.
they're gonna touch who's an Ricky Starks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're definitely gonna go after him
Those are
because clearly Ricky doesn't want to be there. It's
yeah,
obvious.
like Jericho. Like how long is it gonna take for people to realize Jericho in terms of using him in a creative sense to hopefully get young talent over? When are they gonna
Mm-hmm.
realize that that
Not working.
has done nothing but left a trail of bodies. They I don't know how that I mean it almost happens almost after things break apart. Like when the
Mm-hmm.
inner circle broke apart, that's when shit hit the fan with Santana and Ortiz, who should be going down right now. Santana and Ortiz together as a tag team, one of the best tag teams, if not the best tag team in all of pro wrestling,
Yeah.
because when they were in TNA and they were building a name for themselves and everything, they were killing it. They were like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
these guys are as good as the Young Bucks were when they were running PWG in New Japan. Like these guys are an elite tag team. They get into the inner circle.
Death.
Santana snaps his fucking leg. They have a falling out. No more Santana and Ortiz. Daniel Garcia, Sammy Guevara. We almost
Mm-hmm.
lost Hook. It's a miracle that
Poor Orange. Like, get him away from Orange.
but I'm saying like Big Bill and Brian Keith, it's like, God, these guys could be doing so much better. They could be a
Yeah.
tag team on their own and they'd probably be awesome.
Yeah.
But
The shadow.
right, but it's just that hi guys,
Ooh. I just, ugh.
I hate
Give me a visceral reaction right now. Like,
I
ugh.
hate that man with the fire of 1,000 suns.
You really
I
do. Like,
do
and I don't blame
I
you.
do not like that man. I do not like that, and it has nothing to do with his wrestling. It's the simple fact that he just he's one of those types like that. Just you're just like, I don't like this guy. This guy's just a scumbag. Like, and
Yeah.
he's using his longevity and his status, to just constantly make himself relevant because he can't get out of the spotlight. He's such a spotlight hog. And it's
Mhm.
just a constant. This wouldn't be happening if it wasn't because of me. AEW wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I've done this, I've done that.
Let's not.
It's just like, oh.
Just makes your head hurt.
Yeah.
I know. I feel the same. It's just stupid. As soon as he started going back to orange, I'm like, leave him
Yeah.
alone, please. Like, we don't need this again. Orange doesn't need this again, but clearly we just have to go back to something that happened years
He
ago that
has dirt
no
on
one cares.
Tony Khan. I'm
He's
convinced.
blackmail.
Yes, I am convinced he has dirt on Tony Khan.
It's a theory. That's our conspiracy theory for today. So Jericho's blackmailing Tony Khan
Yeah.
for something.
I know it.
Um,
I know it. I'm
no,
down to find out.
gonna find out. We're gonna unsolve mystery this. We're
Uh,
gonna figure it out. Um, it's just God, my fucking head hurts now. All right. So Jack wants to do some fantasy booking. He wants Nigel McGuinness to defend Bryan Danielson from a Christian Cage cash in. Nigel loves Christian, but his respect for Bryan after their wars shines through in the end. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That'd be dramatic, wouldn't
Not
it?
gonna happen.
I don't think. I just
Not
do we
gonna
really want
happen.
to put? Do we really want to put the world title on Christian though? Like,
It's not even that. There's no fucking way Nigel McGuinness is gonna do anything that will help Bryan Danielson.
he'll swerve him. It'll look like maybe he's gonna do it, and then turn around and like kick him in the nuts or something.
He's not gonna help that.
It's the idealistic version of
listen,
fantasy booking.
The rivalry of Swerve and Hangman is running right now simply
Yeah.
because Nigel and Bryan taught people how it is to walk like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
this is beef on a different level. Yeah, it's comedic when McGuinness brings it up and he's taking jabs, and then that promo that he's cut like a bunch of promos like between before and Collision. People that don't know, it's like that meme when you see that picture and it's that dude that's like people that don't know,
you know.
yeah, and then people that don't know, and it's like dark and bleak and scary. That's literally the Nigel McGuinness Bryan Danielson rivalry. People that don't know go, oh, this might be some great wrestling. People that do know is like, oh no.
No, don't. Just
don't know, because
don't do it.
If there's a chance that in real life Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness are like cool and they hang out and maybe have like wine at each other's houses and have charcuterie boards and stuff like that and get together,
Vegan.
I would literally probably run around my apartment complex. That is how convinced that, because he says maybe out of respect. No,
there is none.
It's just no, there's more vile hatred than there is even a smidgen of respect.
Yeah, it's
just like go back, spend the money on the ROH streaming thing because they have it all compiled together, and just watch that McGuinness Danielson rivalry. It's not good. It's like not nice. It's not nice.
It's rude. It's very rude. Very mean.
It's just
it's
not nice. It's not. No. That's the only way I could put it. It's not nice.
It's not nice. It's the title of this episode. It's not nice.
Yes.
Not a nice. Anyway. Very excited to see Mina Shirakawa back on TV while Tony is off, bringing Mina back as the perfect story continuity for Mariah. Oh, it's gonna hurt so bad when Mariah stabs her in the back because that's where this is going. You know where this is going, and it's like, don't do this to your girlfriend, please. I can't handle it. Mariah, you liked my tweet. I love you, but I just please don't do this to Mina. I can't handle it. I don't know if I'll be able to defend it. I can't do it.
You've been acknowledged by the glamour.
I have, and I about passed out at my desk when I saw that. Like, I was fully not even expecting it. I just saw the meme on Twitter and took it, and for the listeners that don't know or didn't see my tweet on my Twitter, it was just a meme that someone had posted, and it was like putting myself in timeout because I blushed a little too hard at a new picture of my celebrity crush. And so I took that and said me anytime Mariah May does literally anything, which it's true. I'm not gonna lie. Mom fully agreed with it, and I didn't think anything of it. I just went back to work. I think I posted on my lunch break. I went back to work. Whatever. Next thing you know, I get a notification. It's like Mariah May liked your tweet, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait. I'm like, please tell me this isn't one of those stupid like fake accounts. Nope, that was the AEW Women's World Champion acknowledging that I exist and that I would die for her. So I've arrived.
Yeah. So,
but don't mess with me, please.
I mean, you couldn't have said it better. Like I couldn't have said it better than you right there. It's just like, and the thing is, what's so great about it is that like when AEW really tries, they can take these people like Mina Shirakawa and Yuka Sakazaki and Mariah May, and they could take them to where people are like, well, who are these people? And then like one presentation, like, yo, these people are pretty interesting. They're pretty dope.
Yeah.
You know? So like it's a beautiful thing when they get it right, because we all know Mina Shirakawa could thrive here. You know?
Yes. Oh, yes.
She could thrive. It's just again, it's the particulars that we as fans are not privy to, like, you know, uprooting basically your whole life to abandon everything, you know, your culture, to try to assimilate to a whole new culture that, you know, calling a spade cannot always be so welcoming and so kind to people that are not from around here. So it's like it's a lot. But the joy in it is that anytime we see Mina Shirakawa, she's getting a huge reaction from the fans. They love seeing her, whether she's cutting a promo or she's in the ring. And I think that's why it's going to even hurt more, because it's like, again, if you know how close Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May are, how bonded they are. So for Mariah to turn her back, so for Mariah to turn her back on her, it's gonna hurt. For people that don't know, they're like, well, we like her. We're just getting used to her. She's pretty interesting. She's pretty cool. Why is this lady beating her up? Like,
it's literally like you just said with Danielson and McGuinness, where it's like, if you know, unfortunately, like,
right. So
it's just
so it's like for the hardcore fans, they know what's gonna happen. We know it's gonna hurt. For the new fans that are just stumbling upon AEW and that are like, oh, this Mina Shirakawa girl is pretty cool. Oh no, why is this blonde woman beating the hell out of her? Like, you know,
I just had a horrible thought. What if they do this on the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite and I have to see this in person? Oh my god. Oh, please. I can't.
Call the cops.
I can't.
Call the cops.
You will fully see me just like fall into my seat in just despair. And I'm not even joking. Like, when we get closer to it, or I'll just preface it right now, the way they set the Pete up, it's kind of screwed up. It's like the cameras are kind of like flip-flop with the way the arena set up. I'm actually taking both my parents. Like, this will be my dad's first wrestling show ever.
Oh wow.
I know, like, what a good show to go to.
Oh man, I can't wait to get the recap of this.
And we're literally going to be most likely on TV the entire time.
Yeah.
So all I'll say to the listeners and to you and everyone, just look in the top left corner of the screen. You will most likely see me and both my parents. Just look for the Brit shirts. That's going to be easy. Just look for the Brit shirts.
Ringside Rundown's taking over all of wrestling TV.
Right?
First we're on SmackDown in Canada. Now we're going to be on AEW in Pittsburgh. Let's go.
It's gonna be a wild time. So Mariah, you know, I know you know I exist now. You acknowledged a tweet of mine. Please don't break my heart. I can't do it.
She's gonna do it.
I'm still gonna love her, but it's just gonna hurt. Like, god damn it. Like,
we all have one of those where we love people we shouldn't love for all the wrong reasons.
Literally, like,
You think if Mariah May tells me to do anything she tells me to do, I'm not gonna do it? Like,
let's be like, yes, Mariah, whatever you say, like, it's fine. Whatever.
That woman is a problem. She is a problem.
It's either going to be on the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite or Grand Slam, but I just feel like if you want a big moment like that, you're gonna do, I don't know, again, I'm just biased, but it's like putting it on the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, it wouldn't.
So That's just me talking it into the universe. We'll see if it actually happens, and if it does, I will scream about it on Twitter that we called it. But I digress, though. We're almost there. We have 3 more from Jack. Say what you want about Mercedes Moné, but her presence has forced Tony to highlight and elevate the women's division finally. There are so many stories for the women, even outside of any title picture, and that way she's being a game changer talent. Now we just need Athena back. Ugh, I agree. Like, he's not wrong.
No.
We're seeing way more women's storylines. So I guess it is a Mercedes Moné effect, whatever. I do agree with the last sentiment, especially though. We need Athena back.
Oh yeah,
Bad.
oh yeah.
Like, it's like this storyline with her and Billy Starks, you could put on a Dynamite or something, and people would be invested in it. But it's on fucking Ring of Honor. No one watches Ring of Honor. I hate to say it.
They're gonna have to pivot and transition Ring of Honor to kind of work as like an NXT works for WWE.
They have
like,
to.
You know, eventually we'll see these people on Dynamite, Rampage, or Collision, whatever show they're gonna transition to. But first, we want them to get the reps in, you know, on Ring of Honor, you know, and run it that way because, like you said, like Billy Starks is great, Athena's great. There's a lot of aspects of Ring of Honor that's great, but like nobody really is gonna put out the $10 to buy it because why?
Why?
But
just why?
Yeah, but to his other point, I agree with him. The Mercedes Moné effect, and it's not a good effect, has forced Tony Khan to highlight people like Queen Aminata right now.
Yes.
Yuka Sakazaki. We've seen a little bit of Nyla Rose. Serena Deeb now getting into
Marina Shafir.
Marina Shafir. My God.
Finally.
But it's a good thing we see those ladies, but it's a bad thing because he had to consolidate all those ladies to equal the amount that he paid for Mercedes Moné, who's not living up to her investment.
No, not at all. And I will, you know, I have other things I want to say, but we have a question or comment about it later, so I will save it. But it's a good thing. Mercedes Moné giveth, and Mercedes Moné also taketh away.
Love it. I love it.
Ugh. That could be a whole episode in of itself, honestly. All right. AEW's legendary for making Double J a top face. He couldn't even do that in TNA, and he started in TNA. He started TNA. Yeah, it's true. That's a Hangman Adam Page effect. Like, honestly, I'm gonna put both these like his last 2 questions together because you can kind of talk about one that go into the other, which is Hangman's one of the best characters in wrestling. The broken man rebuilt himself into a champion and is now broken again. Swerve's facing the consequences of opening Pandora's box.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley thing where it's just like, okay, like you can see why Rhea kind of deserved this, but now it's going way too far. This is like that on steroids.
Right.
Like,
that's a good way to put it. Like, again, I always go back to the relatability of real life and wrestling. Relatability in this sense is exactly like you said. Sometimes we have to do things to, and excuse my French, let motherfuckers know. Like sometimes we have to take it to a place where we have to let them know they're crossing boundaries they shouldn't cross. However, at that point, it becomes a very thin line to go overboard. And that is the situation now between Swerve and Hangman. It's to the point that, like, if Swerve and Hangman just started, like, if Swerve came back and started doing other shit with other people and there was no follow-up to what happened at All Out, we honestly should just shut up and just be like, okay. Because, again,
to blame him?
To get to that point of what we got to at All Out, from a wrestling standpoint, that was a problem, you know? But from a relatability standpoint, again, sometimes people check you in a way where you got to go just a smidge further to show them they're crossing boundaries they shouldn't cross. Problem is, Hangman and Swerve didn't go a smidge further. They just said F it and just went full send 100%.
Yeah.
Let's go to the pits of hell, because that's literally where they sent
Where
us.
they went.
That's literally where they sent us, to the pits of hell. To the point where, again, if Hangman transitions and has let's say a rivalry with Double J, which would be kind of cool, and like, and I don't know, Swerve comes back and who could he, just some random, he starts having a rivalry with Mortos, let's just say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it would be
Why not?
it would be confusing, but are you gonna question why they didn't keep going, why they didn't move further with the Hangman and Swerve story?
It's what we call trauma.
Exactly. Why are you questioning it? We we can't go beyond that. So really, there should be no interaction between Swerve and Hangman for like the next 2 years.
Yeah, I think the best way this could all be summed up, as best as we can put it, is your actions will always have consequences.
Yeah, we talked about, again, relatability to wrestling. It's just like we've all
Funny how that works.
been in these situations, and we've all been in the situation of Hangman, because you remember at the end of All Out, by Hangman trying to come back to the ring, first assumption is, oh my god, he's going to try to actually kill him this time, and it's like, oh my god, no, he's actually trying to see if he's okay. It was that realization that maybe I've went too far, and we've all had a moment like that, whether physical or not, where we question what I did I go too far in that moment? Like, and again, that's the relatability aspect of it. It's just, this is a complex thing, because it's getting into the psyche of the whole story. The entire story is based off of human emotion.
Yeah. To pull one of my a quote from one of my favorite movies, and you may have heard this one before: you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That's a perfect quote to apply to the entire Hangman Swerve situation. I don't think they'll be able to fully walk away from each other for the rest of their career. I think they're always
No.
going to be intertwined with each other, which has happened before in wrestling. Not all the time, it's just like, when it does happen,
It's special.
I was just gonna say, it's special. This is
Yeah.
special for all the wrong, darkest reasons.
Yeah, the needle. I just still I just anyway, we're just gonna move on, because I don't want to keep thinking about the needle. But that was all of Jack's questions.
Thank you,
so
Jack.
Thank you as always. And also, I hope the Rangers lose on the 9th.
Wow,
But
that was
moving on.
uncalled for.
Whatever. You two would be saying the same thing about the Penguins on the 9th. We'll see which one of us is right. But we got a couple weeks for that though. So anyway, so now we got Mom's she always calls them the rapid fire questions and comments, because we can get through these pretty quickly. She couldn't be happier for All Ego. In her opinion, it's some of his best work to date.
Oh yeah.
I'd agree. It's funny what happens when you actually give him time and effort.
Not only that, but you know what the best thing about what Ethan Page is doing right now? He is playing the chicken shits of all chicken shits.
Oh yeah, and he plays it well.
He plays it so good, because he was consistently, for like the past 3-4 weeks, he was getting pseudo pinned by like Aura Mensa, and then everybody else in NXT started getting in on it, where he's constantly getting pinned in matches that are not happening. He's just getting pinned and he's getting pissed off. He tries to help Pete Dunne a couple weeks ago in that last man standing match for the number one contendership. He goes to attack Trick, and Trick just body slams him through like the announce table, and Trick wins. He's playing a really, really, really good slimy bad guy that you only see can actually wrestle out a win during big matches like pay-per-views, or in this case on the CW shows and things like that. Like all the other stuff, he's gonna do the slimy heel bad guy stuff, but then on the big shows, he's gonna incorporate a little wrestling, and then if he has to cheat, he's gonna cheat to win. but it's great. It's just I keep thinking of the fact that he was let go of in AEW, goes to NXT, and within 40 days of being in NXT, he automatically becomes their champion. It's either that WWE can take something like that, spin it into gold, or it's WWE saying, we'll take whatever you consider to be your bottom of the barrel and just make them great for just to troll you, just to piss you off and show you that we can. So
literally.
It sounds petty, but like I kind of like petty. It's funny to me.
It's fun.
It has nothing to do with me, so I just laugh like that's pretty funny.
It's just entertaining. What can we say?
Yeah, it is.
All right, so CM Punk on NXT, and then you get Randy Orton the week after. So NXT is getting some heavy hitters on there for good reason. They know what they're doing. They're not stupid.
Not only that, but one of those days, I believe the 8th is AEW. They have the show Dynamite on Tuesday.
Yeah.
This is not a hit piece on AEW, but I don't think, and especially, not only do you go, okay, we'll bring in Randy Orton. Oh, we'll just have Randy Orton face the youngest member of our entire company roster, who's slowly going to be a superstar by the time he's 24 years old, and Javon Evans. Like, you know, and it's just again, being petty. Like it's funny and entertaining to me. To other people who are way more tribalistic and invested, they're like, oh, they're throwing the pitchfork. But it's just like, they don't have to do this, but they're gonna do it. Like,
just shut up and enjoy it.
I mean, not only that, because like, again, shut up and enjoy it, because it has nothing to do with you. Like, it doesn't affect your life whatsoever. But it's just like, it's just like, they don't have to do it, but they do it because they want to, and that's the funny part. Because AEW, it's just like, to the point where you're just like, why can't you just skip a week? AEW, just take a week off.
Play some highlights.
Remember, back in the day, you know, this might have been before Shay's time, but there used to be weeks of Raw we would miss because of the Westminster Dog Show. You know, so AEW needs a Westminster Dog Show.
Just do like the best of or something, because they've done that before. It's not like they aren't capable of doing it. Just put some matches together,
or pre-tape it. Pre-tape it.
Something, anything. Like, for fuck's sake.
Oh my god. My CM Punk and Randy Orton in NXT back to back is diabolical.
It's a sentence you never thought you'd say out loud.
It is just rude. Like, that's exactly, like, if I was running a company, I definitely wouldn't operate like Tony Khan, but I would definitely be tweeting out, like, how rude. Like, you know, like
stop, he's already dead.
Exactly. Like, please just
get the guy a stretcher, for fuck's sake.
Fuck me.
Shit. It's wild. It's wild times we're living in. What can we say? All right, so Mom's loving the vibe of Yeet with the Terror Twins. It's definitely a different dynamic, and we already touched on it earlier. Right. I do like, it's a little more humorous, I think. Right. Like, I love that exchange on Raw where Finn and Rhea were doing the backstage thing, and then Jey shows up, and she's like, you know, Finn's got a point. He's like, what, do you think you're out of my league? And she's like, what? No. Like, it was just like, I laughed at that for a solid, like, 5 minutes. It was just funny, and he's like, oh, okay, good. Well, like, it's just funny. Right. Like, it's a new dynamic, but they need to take it to the next level, like we had said earlier.
The whole dynamic reminds me of me in high school trying to make the really attractive goth chick laugh. You know, it's just like Jey just has that quality about him where he's just like, yeah, she's scary, intimidating. She might be into some weird stuff.
She might sacrifice people.
But I kind of like it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it works.
It works. So like, there's some humor behind it. Again, I want to see them go full into it, you know? Like, you know, just like, don't tiptoe. Just do it.
Just do it.
Exactly. Nike it up.
Just like, please. Should Julia win the title right away?
I mean, go ahead.
I could see yes. I could see yes and no. That's the problem. It's like I could see yes because she's that big of a deal that her winning right away, no one would bat an eye
Right.
at. You'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, she's a big deal.
Yeah.
But also, they can make a pretty good program with her and Roxanne if they try hard enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But the thing is,
I lean.
go ahead.
No, go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, no, go ahead. I want to hear what you
Back
have
and
to say.
forth.
Yeah, I want to hear what you have to say.
I feel like they could milk it more if they go for like we always say, go for the chase because you can make Roxanne way more of a chicken shit heel if she knows that she is out of Julia's league, but will do whatever she can to hold on to that title. She screws her over on that first match they have. Julia's pissed. She runs through that whole locker room and she's like, "You are giving me another chance, whether you like it or not." And then that's when she wins it on like a takeover, probably. I feel like it would have to be on a takeover. I get that it's a whole CW, you want to have big moments, whatever. Let Julia chase that title.
See, I like your plan. I like the idea because I'm always a fan of putting more behind it. If you can milk it for more tickets, as they say, it's always a good thing. But like you said in the beginning, no one would bet an eye, especially if you do it this way. Julia beats Roxanne. Roxanne goes to the main roster.
Yeah.
But you could also milk it, like you said, milk it so that way, as it was usually customary after one of the big 4 pay-per-views, there would be NXT call-ups. You milk it until Survivor Series time frame. Roxanne loses, Julia becomes champion, and then Roxanne gets called up, and then you could do something super hot and say, okay, Stephanie Becker's ready. Let's do Stephanie Julia.
Yeah.
You
Oh, that's gonna be a fun one. I cannot wait for that one.
It's just the progression of just banger, banger, banger. Because like Roxanne is great. Roxanne from a heel standpoint has all the attributes and qualities that makes me such a fan of someone like Riho. In the sense that physically, there's no reason anybody should be beating Roxanne Perez because of her size. And she's 99% of the time she's going to be at a size difference from her opponent, but she will always figure it out. Now she's figuring out how to be dastardly and just rude and just a straight up bitch. All right.
Yeah, you just say it.
A straight up bitch, but she's getting really good at it. What her thing is, what makes her great at it is she can give off these facial things, these visuals from her face that is just like, is that girl ever happy or nice about anything? Like she just
what do you want?
Right. She just seems like that person you would get at a restaurant that would complain about everything. The water is too spicy for
the manager.
Yeah, right. That's exactly the aura and the vibe that Roxanne gives off, and that's what makes her so good. Like the stuff she did last night with Punk was fantastic because it like Punk's one of her mentors, and then she comes out and she pulls a Gunther and she's like, I kind of like Drew McIntyre more, and you can see like usual Punk would like kind of laugh that off, like, you got me. Punk was like, why would you say that? Like
you like hurt him.
Yeah, like he literally gave off his face was like, why would you say something like that?
How could you say something like that to me?
He was mad. Like he didn't like.
He might have cried.
He was gonna cry. He didn't like that. One of his daughters just like, imagine. Imagine your daughter goes like, "Hey, I like my stepdad more than you, my real dad." Like, oh my god.
The family drama.
That's what it felt.
Just the family drama.
That's what it felt like.
It's just the family drama. What can you say? It's just it's always something. Poor Punk though. As if he doesn't have enough to deal with. Like
he's
guy.
He's got his dog, his wife. He's got one kid that blew out her ACL trying to come back. Now he's got the other one just being a straight menace.
It's just he's not doing so well.
He's got a guy that every single time he like locks up with the dude sends him to the hospital. So it's just like it's bad times right now.
He needs a break. He needs a week or two off, but not medically, but who knows, maybe someday. There it is. We're almost there. In our opinion, the best storyline in AEW right now.
Ooh.
Mariah May existing. Like just saying, but Her stuff's pretty good though. Like,
Hey, I'm not gonna complain. The thing is, I think about it, and it's just like I keep going back to that interview she had on Barstool where she had that guy so flustered he couldn't even
mm-hmm.
look her in the eye, and I'm like, I know that would be me.
It would be me too.
I would be confident and cocky saying, no, that would never happen to me with so and so. I can hold my own against, but with her,
And then she walks in the door, and there's like, shit.
no, there's.
I would die.
I
I would disintegrate. I would Thanos snap out of existence immediately.
Oh my god, it's just I'm trying to keep professional,ism and some decorum here, but it's just like
It's hard with Mariah. It's really hard. Like,
it's real she's great too. Like this is
yeah,
not just she's beautiful, she's gorgeous. Yeah, she's
no,
all those things. She's also a badass professional wrestler. Like
yeah,
not even like, oh, she's a great wrestler. She can get it. No, she can
nope.
beat the hell out of you with the shoe or
Yeah.
without a shoe, with the title or without a title. She
Mm-hmm.
can, if she hits you with one of those Germans, man, and her forearms and her drop kicks, like she throws those drop kicks with the intent of making it look like she's hurting someone.
Yeah,
You know,
like it's just
yeah,
it's too much.
it's
It's
a
too
lot.
much. Like, all I'll say is if Mariah shows up on Dynamite in Pittsburgh in 2 weeks and you catch me bowing on live TV, I'm not denying it.
Right,
So what?
exactly.
And what of it? You would do the same thing. But anyway, so mom's last comment is something I've been saying for weeks, and clearly we don't really know what's going to happen. I miss DMD, and you know what? So do I. And the fact that we are 2 weeks away from being in Britsburg and we haven't heard a single fucking word about her is making me very nervous. Like, really nervous.
Either that or it's a big. They're bracing for a big moment. Because I don't.
I hope, like,
Unless she's hurt. Unless she's hurt.
I hope not.
Like, course
I can't take much
like
more.
you can't have a show in Pittsburgh, an AEW show in Pittsburgh without the first lady of AEW. You know, like
I mean, I hope. Like, I'm just hoping because
as even a video package or something, like, like, but at
oh,
that
people are gonna be pissed. You
right,
have to
but
have her in the building,
right,
like.
or at that point you gotta announce like she's injured. She makes an injury announcement or something, which would be a somber thing to do on the show. But
I can't take much more. I can't take much more, Eric. We can't. She can't be hurt. Like,
I don't know.
I don't fucking know. They got to do something. Like, next week's going to be interesting because they have to do, like I said, hopefully something. Because if not, they have to just have her surprise show up in Pittsburgh. Because if she doesn't show up in her hometown, and Tony Khan has the nerve to like walk out after the show, people are not going to be happy, like, at all. But we'll look at your idealistic way of putting it. Maybe it's just like a big shocking return for something. I don't know. Like,
that's what I'm assuming.
we just need something because for fuck's sake, it was not that bad that we've literally not heard from her since.
Right.
But again, that's a whole other episode we could go on, but for the sake of it, I'm gonna go just move on. So, Mom, thank you for your questions. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Mom.
it as always. So now we got two more questions. One's coming from Mike, who's on vacation right now, so he doesn't have a whole lot to talk about as he usually does, but he wants to know what our thoughts are on the apparent AEW TV deal. And if the rumors are true, do we think it's a good idea for AEW to have once again another show with supposedly the name being Shockwave?
Right.
We can't keep doing this, Eric. There's not enough days in the week for this shit anymore.
Thankfully, what it looks like, if that Shockwave thing is supposed to be another show, it might replace Rampage and just be
maybe
another program. Reading through what I can find about the deal, here's the key details. It's 3 years guaranteed plus a 4th year option, annual in the range of 170 million per year, and programming will air on TNT, TBS, and True TV twice weekly. if they are, this is the rumor, if they do go ahead and get that Shockwave show, they're trying to shop it to another network, like maybe Fox, or to throw it on maybe like an FS1 or something
Yeah.
like that. That's the plan. But again, you and I are not in the business of like the financials and the financial part of the entertainment business that goes with AEW. Ultimately, as a fan, if this deal goes through, of course I'm going to be excited. It's wrestling. It's I enjoy many aspects of AEW. Of course, I do believe that they can get better, and they do things that are kind of like, well, you kind of get in your way. But there is aspects to AEW that I love as a fan. Not only
Yeah.
that, I mean, it's just like I don't want people to lose their job. I want people to
No.
make money. So yeah, like hopefully this deal can go through. So at least for the next 3 years, they have, like I said, there's a fourth year option to continue. At least for the next 3 years, we get AEW, and then hopefully within those 3 years, they can elevate their programming to be an even bigger asset, to where the companies have to be like, well, we have to keep them on TV for the next 6 years.
Yeah, and hopefully they come up with an extra day of the week so we can fit all this extra shit in because
Yeah,
Eric, I'm tired.
I feel you. I feel
I'm
you.
so tired. Like, I just want a free day to myself to play video games. That's all I want. But oh well. But it's more wrestling, so what can we say?
Right.
Alrighty, so that's Mike's questions. Now we're gonna go. We have one more question, and it's in the Ringside Rundown Discord.
Yes, that's right. We have a Discord server. It's got a lot of people in it, all various types of wrestling fans. It's got hardcore, diehard wrestling fans such as myself. It has fans that are in there that are just getting into wrestling and enjoying what is going on. And there's even people that don't even watch wrestling that just like want to hang out because, again, I do the Twitch streams. And when you do the Twitch streams, you get people from all walks of life, people that like wrestling, people that just play video games and stuff like that. So they just want to check out what's going on with the content. So we have a great mixture. We're doing a lot of things in the Discord. Like tomorrow, we're having a movie night for subs, that people that sub to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. If you want to do that, we're watching the movie Euro Trip tomorrow, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. See, good subtle like placement in there. Good job. Good job.
I'm on my Excalibur stuff.
Yeah, right. But you also don't sound like you're gonna pass out at the same time. So good job. Good job. All right. So our question on the Discord comes from Rex, and it's a very simple question.
Yes,
nice way to end the
Dinodian
show.
Rex. Dinodian Rex is a friend of mine. He's a Canadian dinosaur on Twitch.
No. See, we love Canadian dinosaurs.
Yes.
What more do you want? So it's a very fun question to end the show. Our favorite finisher of all time.
I'm gonna let you go first. What you got?
So it took me a hot minute to come up with one because I'm just like, there's so many that you could say, just like because it looks cool, because it's iconic, because it's just like attached to a famous wrestler. Mine kind of went more for like the flashy style. I have always loved the Eclipse.
Oh,
That
no, that's a
always.
good one.
It was like the first time I saw that, and it was Ember's first match in NXT. It was on Takeover Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure, against Billie Kay. The first time I saw that, I'm just like, this is fucking cool. Like nobody was doing anything like that.
Right.
And really nobody really does do anything like that. It's so like unique. It's so just cool. Like it's not one of those where it's like, oh, well, even if she hits it bad, it's like it's not going to look right. No, it always looks painful and deadly, and it is so much fun.
It is. I always like it because there's such a margin of error where she can like leap and she doesn't grab the person's head in time to deliver the move or anything like that. But yeah, that's a really good one. I didn't expect that, but the Eclipse, I'll definitely be posting some videos for our friends in the Discord so they know what the Eclipse is about. It's one of the craziest moves in all of wrestling.
Wild.
I went for a movie we don't get to see often. We might not see it again, actually. It's a move that has another name. The first name was called the Omega Driver, but then it was adopted by one Kentucky gentleman, Chuck Taylor. And his finisher, it became what's known as the Awful Waffle. Not only is that a great name, but the Awful Waffle, every time you see it, you're just like, holy crap. It's basically, if you take a back suplex, you take a person's arm, you hook it over yours, and you go to drive them backwards. Here's the thing, he doesn't do that. He lifts you up and then turns your body from upright to upside down and
Mhm.
drives you in a pile driver position in the same motion. So he
Yeah.
lifts you up straight up in the air, turns your body from north to south to north, and then drives your head down. The awful waffle. The first time I saw that, it's such a simplistic move that looks absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
I just awful waffle. Chuck Taylor, Chucky T. Miss ya.
Honestly, the what that brought up another one that I never even thought of because it's just you don't see it anymore for probably good reason because the margin of error in this move is bad. Uh the brain buster,
Ooh.
and when I mean brain buster, I mean the one where you kind of have them set up for almost like an unprettier, but you kind of like flip them onto like your back and you like essentially drop them on their shoulders or
Right,
head.
right. Like it's like the vertebraker.
Yes, like, I remember when back in the day, everyone remembers when it was the whole SmackDown versus Raw video game series.
Right.
That was always my, like, created wrestler's finisher
Right.
because I'm just like, "You can't get up from that, you're dead." Like, I just murdered you with
Yeah.
like, I just broke your neck into, like, tissue.
Right. Yeah. The vertebrae scares the shit out of me because it's like you really can't control.
Mm-mm.
At least from my perception, you really can't control to make sure the person's head is in the right position to
Nope, you're just
where,
hoping for the best.
yeah, to where you're not gonna drop them on the because of the one thing as devastating as the vertebraker looked on the cinder block from the all out cage match,
Yeah.
it was delivered and taken properly because the brunt of the impact landed on the top of the shoulders,
Mhm.
not so much the neck area, mostly between the deltoids and the shoulder area. That's how
Yeah.
it's safely supposed to be taken. But like you said, the margin of error getting dropped on your head from that move, it's razor thin. Like, yeah, it's not good.
You know
Mhm.
you know, it's also funny because when you were just like, "Oh, you're, like, nervous or you're, like, scared when you see that move," that fully reminds me of and it doesn't matter what show we're watching, whoever hits it, if you wanna see my mom cringe, and I mean really cringe, watch anybody get hit with a poison rana, she hates it. She can't stand that move. She's just like, "I hate it because it always looks terrible," in, like, a good way, obviously, where it's like, it looks like you just killed somebody, but it's just like yeah, I can imagine the margin of error on that one's very slim as well, where it's like, if you don't jump or if you don't take it a certain way, then it's gonna they call it a poison rana for a reason, it doesn't look great.
I love it.
Um, it's
Poison
just,
Rana.
it's wild, but those are some of the finishers we like and
Yeah.
or cringe at, but
Yeah, thank you, Dinodian Rex, for that wonderful question in the
thanks, Rex.
Discord. Make sure you hop in the Discord if you want to join a positive, non-toxic, non-judgmental wrestling community. And we also do other stuff besides wrestling. There's spots in there for people who stream that want to promote their content. All that stuff is available in the Discord. And that was the last question.
Yeah,
So I might as well just go ahead and go into my entire spiel.
do the thing.
My sales pitch, basically.
Pretty much.
Well, obviously, thank you for listening to this entire episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. It is greatly appreciated. We love you so much. Head kisses. Mwah. You can
Pat on the head.
yeah, there you go. If you want to keep up with the Ringside Rundown and all the stuff we have going on, you can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch for all WWE and AEW programming. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is at Ringside Rundown, and Twitch, like I said, every WWE and AEW program is twitch.tv/Ringside Rundown. Usually it used to be me doing a mediocre job at like match commentary. Now it's
Mhm.
me trying to do the match commentary and trying not to let chat make me laugh hysterically. Like
Yeah,
it's just like it's
sounds
total
about right.
yeah, it's total chaos, but they're all enjoying wrestling. They're all having fun. So if you want to have fun and not have to worry about somebody yelling at you because you like AEW or whatever, just come and hang out with us, have fun. And
Yeah.
all the Discord stuff will be there. If you want to talk to me individually about wrestling or whatever, you can reach me at Erik Ringside underscore. I gotta get that right. At Erik Ringside underscore. Hey, I just changed my username. So but that's
Give him a break.
yeah, that's my wrestling Twitter account personally. If you want to talk to me wrestling wise, I feel like I'm forgetting. We have merch now. We have merch.
Yeah.
If you go to our Twitch page and you click the merch section, it'll give you our Fourth Wall account where it has we have hoodies now. We have multiple. We have a zip up hoodie now, and like somebody else saw it and they loved the description because the description is it's a hoodie that zips up.
Well,
I give you what you want. You know, we got
description, very good description.
yeah, you know, it's hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, beanies. We got beanies now. I know you like beanies, so
I do. I have too many.
Yeah, we got beanies now. So yeah, check that out on Fourth Wall. It is our merch store. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShaylynHickson21, talking an absolute fool about a lot of things. I mean, sports are in full swing. Halsey has new music coming out.
You're gonna be
I'm
busy.
just having a good time.
Your fandoms are clashing.
Everything is just happening all at once, and it's like, you know what? I need the serotonin, so yeah, I'll take it. I will take it.
Definitely. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. Remember, you can find this podcast on all podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Good Pods, Radio Republic, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find it. If you can't find it, again, hit us up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Ringside Rundown. We'll get you a link to the podcast on that platform that you use on a silver platter, but the caveat is you got to give us back the silver platter because we only have one. It's only one. It's expensive. We're trying to increase the value so that way we can buy some WrestleMania tickets. Maybe by WrestleMania 52 we'll be squared away.
Maybe. You never know.
Maybe. But again, guys,
who knows?
Thank you for all the love and support and all the wonderful comments we get for what we do here at the Ringside Rundown. We greatly appreciate it, and we will continue to do so. Starting with next week. Next week we're gonna do something different. We're gonna get you ready for Bad Blood. With all the stuff that's going on with Bad Blood, that's going to be happening on October 5th in Atlanta, Georgia. But we already know we got some Hell in a Cell matches. It's funny how they told us, CM Punk, he said he's never going to do a Hell in a Cell match. He's too old for that. What's he going to do? He's going to get in a Hell in a Cell with his mortal enemy. So, that's something to look forward to for next week's show. But that's happening next week. Right now, Shay and I, we have to get to bed because we're really tired. And she actually has to go to work tomorrow. I just get to be a bum.
Sadly.
Well, thank you guys for listening to the show. We will talk to you next week. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys.